going to make a delicious spring-inspired tart for you, a savoury tart using a combination of broccolini, some gorgeous peas and some spinach. Of course, I'm going to be adding lots of cheese to this too. Now, to make my tart, I'm actually going to be using one of the pans from the 13-piece stainless steel Ingenio set. So yeah, of course, you could use them as a pan, but because they're so non-stick and they have a lovely heavy base, they're also great as a tart tin. So in here, I'm just going to brush a little of this butter, and I want that so we get a gorgeous golden colour on our pastry. Just evenly spread that out. And I have my pastry already ready to go. It's rolled out. So I don't want it to be too thin or too thick. So about 1 to 2 millimetres is what we're after. I'll grab myself a rolling pin, and this is the best way to do it. Just roll your pastry onto your rolling pin and carefully place it into the tin. There we go. Okay, so as you can see what I'm doing here, I'm just pressing in the sides. We don't want any air bubbles, and we do want that pastry to go all the way up the sides for now, and we will trim in a moment. Good. Grab myself a small knife, and we're just going to trim the excess away. So just around the sides. And to ensure it doesn't puff up too much, just pierce a few holes in. We'll grab some rice and some baking paper, and this is how we blind bake. We want to do this so we get a lovely crust. We don't want it to be soggy on the base. So in it goes, spread it out, and now this goes into the oven. You want to give this about 10 to 15 minutes to start cooking. Remove this rice and then let it cook again just to dry out so we get a nice golden colour on our pastry. Right, while that's cooking, let's get on to the vegetable component of this tart. So just one bunch of broccolini. I'm going to use the stalks and all. So tender, so sweet. Just going to cut them into smaller pieces. We'll turn the heat on. Just grab my detachable handle and I'll add the rest of that melted butter. So about a tablespoon. Give that a swirl. And this pan is nice and hot, and I can see this just from that thermo spot in the centre. It's solid red. I'll add our broccolini. Just use broccoli if you like. And I'll also add the peas. And we're not wanting to cook these so they're really soft. I just want to take out some of the rawness from it. They are going to cook again in the oven when we add it to the tart. And I'll also add our spinach. Now, it looks like a lot of spinach, but as soon as it hits that heat, it's really going to cook down. A small pinch of salt, freshly cracked pepper, and I'll give that one good toss. And really, I'm going to turn the heat off now because I really don't want to overcook it. It's just to warm through. Great. Okay, now for the savoury custard. In a bowl, a larger bowl, we need quite a lot of eggs. I've got about 5 to 6 eggs. We're going to break them straight into a bowl. And with my tarts, I don't like them to be too eggy, and that's why I use quite a lot of cream to egg ratio. So that's 3. And by adding the cream, you get a really nice velvety finish on it as opposed to a frittata style filling. I don't really like that at all. Okay, so in with our cream. And when I say a substantial amount, about 1.5 cups of thickened cream. Great. And nutmeg. I like freshly grated nutmeg. A pinch of salt always. And we'll give it a good whisk. Our components are ready to go. We just have to wait for our pastry to finish blind baking, and then we'll start assembling it. Okay, the pastry has been blind baked. It's looking good. It needs a little longer, but that's okay because we're going to cook it again now. These vegetables have cooled down slightly, so we'll add them to the base of the pastry, spread them out. Now for the cheese. You can use any cheese you like. I've got a mixture of cheddar, so we'll sprinkle that over the top. Some Parmesan, just like the Parmesan because it gets in those nooks and crannies. And I love a little blue cheese for something slightly different. So we'll just take that plastic off and just use your knife just to crumble in pieces of that. So when you bite into it, you get that little surprise. If you like blue cheese, I love it. And just evenly distribute that. And finally, our savory custard. Just slowly do this. Don't get too excited and pour it all in at once. You just want it to seep into all those little spaces, just to fill in the gaps. And this now goes back into the oven, and we're going to cook it for about 30 minutes or until it's golden on the top, but still just slightly wobbly in the center. The veggie tart has come out of the oven and I have allowed it to cool. It's still warm, but you want to be able to handle the pan because you may be wondering how I'm going to get this out. Well, the best way to do it is to put a plate on top, and luckily this pan is non-stick, so it just makes life so much easier. And because there's no handle in the way, we can seamlessly flip this, little tap, and dun, da, da, da. Oh, perfect. Of course, we don't want to present it this way, so you get yourself another plate, your presentation plate, carefully pop it on top, and then flip it. And that's how it's done. If you wanted to transport this for a picnic, just leave it in the pan. It actually comes with plastic lids, so that's a really great addition there. Of course, I've got to cut this to show you how perfectly cooked this is. So we'll just cut a perfect little wedge. And the pastry is quite short, so it will break a little. That's okay, it tastes even better. Grab myself a plate and a fork, and we'll pop that on. And look at that perfect center. See how it's almost custard-like and it's still silky in the center? That's because of the ratio of egg to cream. All right, I want to have a taste. I like the little back bit here. It's so good. It really is a vegetarian delight, but regardless of if you're vegetarian or not, it is so yummy, it's so delicate, and it's the perfect size tart. It's not too thick, it's not too thin, it's just perfect. And that pastry, oh, so good. I love it. I think you're gonna love it too.